In Matthew 26:31, it says, "Then Jesus said to them, all the disciples, all of you will be made to stumble because of me this night. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I have been raised, I will go before you to Galilee." And Peter answered and said to him, "Even if all are made to stumble because of you, I will never be made to stumble." And Jesus said to him, "Assuredly I say to you that this night before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. And Peter said to him, "Even if I have to die with you, I will not deny you." And so said all the disciples. And obviously we all know as the story goes on, Peter goes on to deny him 3 times. It's crazy to me when I think of this story that Jesus is just very forthcoming with his friends. And as everything's kind of leading up to the cross, he sits down with them and he says, look this is what's going to happen. It says in the scriptures that this is what's going to happen. And this is what's going to happen. You all are going to do this. And Peter immediately says, "No, Lord, I'm not going to do that. I will never be made to stumble. I will never deny you." And Jesus is like, "Peter, I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen." And Peter still says, "I will not deny you." We have to realize that people in our lives are going to confront us. I heard one time from our pastor, he said that ministry is confrontation. Ministry is confrontation, but so is about every single relationship in our life if we have an open and honest and iron sharpens iron type of relationship with that person. We have to realize that people are going to confront us on things, and immediately, if we have something going on in our heart, like an insecurity or a bitterness or something in our heart that's not right, we're immediately going to put up these defense walls when someone wants to confront us on a topic. And a lot of times, honestly, we think of the word confrontation as something that is like this bad thing. When honestly, confrontation, if you're a Christian and you allow the scripture to really work as iron sharpens iron, right? If we allow that to happen, we can't think of confrontation as a bad thing or a thing that happens where we have to put our defense walls up. But we have to think of confrontation as a way that God utilizes people and areas in our life to really sharpen us and help us to grow and become everything that God has called us to be. I think about the peacock. We've all heard that like it strikes up its beautiful feathers, but really when they strike up their beautiful feathers, that really is a defense mechanism. You might even be thinking, I don't have defense walls up when people talk to me about something, but the reality of it is if we have something going on in our life, even if we make those defense walls to look beautiful and we try to hide those defenses, eventually the way that we're responding is going to be revealed as a defense or a defense wall. So I'm not even talking about offenses here. I'm talking about not being open to the correction that God has placed in our life. Here Peter was. He had Jesus, the Son of God, walking with him, not only as a mentor, but as a friend. He had this, and Jesus talks to him about something, and he immediately gets defensive about it. But we also know that there was a story in the Bible that also Peter asks Jesus something about John. Well, is John going to do this with you? And Jesus turns around and says, Peter, what is it to you? So if you can use these 2 stories about Peter in the Bible, you can realize that there's something going on in his heart that he's wondering, well, why is it that, this is your relationship with this person over here? Or why is it that you have this relationship with this person and not with me? Or why is it that you're doing this with this person and not with me? So when you can kind of utilize or use this situation that Peter has with Jesus about asking what John is doing, and Jesus has to turn around and say, Peter, what is it to you? You now understand that when Jesus says, you're going to deny me, Peter immediately puts his defense walls up and says, Jesus, there's no way that I would ever do that. Because it almost feels like when he has this heart condition going on between him and Jesus and maybe questioning his relationship with Jesus, when Jesus says that, his defense walls come up and say, there's absolutely no way that I would ever do that. But what we need to do in situations like that, we have to look inside of our heart and realize, if someone is telling me this and maybe they perceive the situation different than we did, we have to say, what is it that's going on inside of my heart that I could change or that I could grow from? A great example would be this. Just yesterday, I'm home with my kids and my husband's at work. He comes home on his dinner break and I leave to go to Costco for our grocery shopping. And immediately I get in my car and my husband, Mike, calls me and he's like, hey, the kids made a mess. This is what happened. And I was like, think immediately I get defensive and I'm like, what, why are you calling me and telling me this? Like, I was watching them. I'm a good mom. I was watching them. I had control of the situation. And I said, why are you calling me to talk to me about this? And he was like, I was just calling you to make you aware of the mess that was made with our kids. And I was like, okay, thanks for letting me know. And he's like, okay, bye. And immediately I had a heart check. Immediately. So on my way to Costco, I'm just like, why did I respond like that? And it was almost like I found myself questioning, like, am I a good mom? I know that I'm a good mom, but in that moment when I felt like the question of whether or not I was watching my kids was in play, I started questioning whether or not I'm a good mom. This has absolutely nothing to do with my husband, but what was going on in my heart was it was showing me that there was a place in my heart that there was this little insecurity of me questioning whether or not I was a good mom or whether or not I have my household under control. So I'm shopping around Costco and I call Mike and I was just like, hey, and he, him thinking I'm going to have a question about Costco. And I said, I want to call you because I want to apologize to you about how I responded. I said, you were just calling me to inform me, but I immediately put my defense walls up and responded out of an insecurity that I have over my parenting skills. And I took that out on you, and I should never have talked to you that way. I should have never responded to you that way. So I just want to let you know, I'm sorry. And I hope that you forgive me. And he's like, yeah, of course I forget you. And then I'm like, I love you. He's like, I love you too. And I'm like, bye. I don't even have a question about Costco. I just needed to apologize. All of that to say, God uses people in our lives to help us to see what is going on in our hearts. God uses situations in our lives to help us to see what is going on in our heart. It gives all these insights into where our heart condition really is. So we need to look at our heart and say, if I'm responding to someone with defense walls up, why is it or what is it that's going on inside of my heart that makes me so defensive about this topic? And typically, we can use those defense walls to look inside our heart and say, God, reveal it to me. God, show it to me. Show me where my heart is at. Show me the condition of my heart when it comes to this situation, or show me the condition of my heart when it comes to this person. And Lord, allow me to allow you to deal with my heart in this situation so I can come to that place, so you can come to that place of growth and maturity that ultimately we become everything that God has called us to be. Because God uses people and situations to speak to us, to minister, and to cause growth and maturity in our life. God is so good, and you just need to use your surroundings around you to take a look at your heart to say, God, I want to become everything that you've called me to be. So Lord, help me to do that.